all about that star power.
Stay tuned because you know Reec is going to have one of your favorite stars with him today.
Stay tuned.
That's right, man. We will not disappoint. This brother right here is doing huge things. Been doing big stuff. We're going to talk about a little bit of that, but more so what he got going because this man is trying to show Atlanta a little bit of care. We got my dog, my brother from another. Some may even call us distant cousins. Alfred Shivy Books in the building. What's up, my guy?
What up, man? What's going on, family? I am excited to be with you, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Same here. You've always been doing great things, ever since, I tell the people, we went to high school together. So it's always good to see somebody, your class, somebody, you kind of stood next to a little bit, do their thing on multiple levels. And you're really doing that. So we got this hype bell here. I got to hit it for you one time, bro.
All right.
Yeah, the man definitely made it cool to be a teacher. You kind of said that you actually made headlines first. You killing Rap City at first on BET. I was like, wow. I turned the TV on one day. I'm like, Shivy, killing it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's incredible. Even yourself, man. I got to give you your flowers. You know what I mean? Like you made a huge imprint and impact on Atlanta yourself, and I love to see those of us who came from back home in Jersey and moved down here to Atlanta and really put our foot down, man, and had a major impact in the community here. So kudos to you as well.
I appreciate that, man. It's all about you today, brother. When I say that, I just mean you actually got instant credibility when you get into these schools because these kids like, oh man, he really understands us. You understand the language of the youth, and we're not that far removed. This is like the first generation where we can wear the same clothes and shoes and sneakers as the kids that come into the classroom. We understand a little bit more about their culture. It's just more interconnected. Did you feel like that helped you? We're definitely gonna get to running because we need people like you representing the masses, but I definitely want to talk about it because I see the desk in the background right now. So
right here,
right? How does that help you with your day to day, just being so connected?
Yeah, I think it gives me all the information I need to be more impactful. When you're a school teacher, especially at the level I am, I teach high school seniors. So I'm working with young adults, people who are about to walk into the real world. But then I'm also engaging with their parents and I'm engaging with their grandparents. And so as an educator, it's like you got your finger on the pulse of the community. You really get to understand, what the needs are across generational lines. And it helps you be well positioned to be a bridge maker and to be a person that can help folks find common ground.
I can absolutely see what makes you want to run now because you're actually a teacher that cares. You're one that's connected, like you said, to the mom, the dad, the grandma, the cousin, that child, and maybe even their younger siblings. And you may see some of the deficit struggles and challenges that they face before they come to school.
100%. I mean, I teach down in Riverdale, which is one of the lesser access, lesser resource areas in the Metro Atlanta, period. So what I see with my students is, there's not always housing security like there should be. There's not food security like there should be. There's not opportunity and hope like there should be. At the beginning of the pandemic, I worked to feed like 1,000 students and their families off the bat. We put on a virtual prom, myself and my brother Desi Banks. We raised $30,000 for scholarships. I mean, there's so much need, but where there's need, there's opportunity. And those of us who are blessed enough to have access have a responsibility to turn that access into hope for others and opportunity for others. And this is just a continuum, all the things that I'm doing of that work.
Absolutely. Right now, if you just tune on to the radio app, shout out to everybody in Charlotte. I need y'all to get a residency in Georgia just to go ahead and vote for my boy when he's running for that open seat. You just said something powerful. You said, you and Desi were able to put on a virtual prom, which I saw, and that was a beautiful thing, bro. You feeding thousands of people during your free time when teachers only have like a month and a half off, maybe that, and you're taking that time to still make sure your students are straight. I seen you hook up with Shaq and give pizzas away. It's just all types of stuff that you've been doing and able to accomplish. You're like a celebrity in that sense of like the celebrity of giving, and that's dope, man. I hit the hype bell for that.
100%. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. And I teach that to my students, like, yo, you can get all the accolades and the light and all of that y'all are seeking, doing whatever, doing the right thing by people. Like when you do good by people, man, God blesses you abundantly. And I've had more favor than I deserve. I've had more opportunities afforded to me than I deserve. And I think it's a product of just always focusing on doing the right thing, not chasing the bag, not chasing clout, not doing any of those things. And God rewards us for it. And that's more than enough for me.
Yeah, well, I think it's not more than you deserve, because every time you get, you're able to give too. When they say that cup runneth over, you have little cups underneath it, just handing out shot glasses to all the people around you. So that's dope, man. That's just an ode to who you are. Now, I see that you got this thing going, and right before we get back into it, I got to give a shout out to your hat game. I got AB on YouTube. He just checked in. He said, man, I got to get that hat. This man has all the hats.
Look, man, the hat thing is like, I mean, you knew my dad, and that was like my dad's thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He bought the hats and the suits to school and all the things. Pardon the announcement, you know, I'm still
Hey, man,
here.
look, that's part of the game. I ain't mad at that at all.
Hey,
That makes you authentic.
Yes, but yeah, my dad, you know, it was the thing that I borrowed from him, and how he arrived in the classroom, and you know, I just kind of put our spin on it. And you know, shout out to Fruition Hat Company, the Black-owned hat company here in Atlanta that I support, and they do all of my hats. And you know, it's just about showing real authentic style, making, you know, the political game cool and
Right.
and something we can connect with the same way I did in the classroom. It's no different, you know.
Right. And I love that, because you're showing the kids a different level. You're still fresh, but it's just another level to the freshness, and you're making them, you know, it connected to you in a different type of way. I love too that you were able to take your talents as an artist and intertwine that into your teaching. You dropping songs and singles about history and education and everything. What made you want to do that? Just knowing you had that talent and then bringing it to the classroom.
I mean, it's just, you know, when I first went into education, I was almost embarrassed to admit to the world that I was a teacher. You know, truth be told, like you said earlier, you know, I went from, you know, being a BET Freestyle Friday Hall of Famer, and then ended up moving, you know, into teaching. And I, in my mind, I was like, man, I'm supposed to be this rapper that everybody knows and all the things. But the truth is when I started realizing that I could be all of myself in every space that I'm in, that's when I'm winning. And it's that level of authenticity that I think has helped to propel me to the level that I deserve to be at and that I should be at. And it teaches other young people that we don't have to turn off our culture. We don't have to code switch. We don't have to try to be somebody else to be acceptable in any environment. We could be our whole self, no matter where we are, and win.
I love that, man. Just embracing every bit of aspect of you. It's not no longer to shut up and dribble or to just be a rapper. Just stay there. You're like, no, I got bars. I educate. You know, I can be sophisticated. I'm a father. I'm a family man. You're showing people the different layers, and it's okay, and it looks good while you're doing it. So, man, let me hit the hype bell. Let me applaud you one time for that. Let's jump into this campaign. When I saw you running, I got a little nervous. I was like, I hope he's still able to teach these kids, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? He's probably seeing some of the things that they're dealing with and wants to make a change.
100%. I mean, look, it doesn't matter how good your lesson is. It doesn't matter what resources you have for a school, what pedagogy you have, your lesson planning. If kids don't have a safe place to sleep, if they don't have food on the table, they're not going to learn in the classroom. And by me seeing so many different ways that students and their families are not supported in the school, you know, it became emergent to me. Like, we got to really do something about wrapping our arms as a city around families and young people. You know, we talk about crime going on in the city. We talk about lack of affordability in the city, and all of these things are connected to the condition of students in the school. And those are things that I can't impact in the classroom. Those are things you can't impact on the school board. It really, that work is done at City Hall. And so I see a great opportunity to have someone who has their finger on the pulse of the community to give voice to those who are not being heard, not being seen, not being catered to. And so we I think are well positioned to make that happen.
I think so too. Right now, we got Shivy on the line. I'm gonna call you Shivy. That's how I know you. But Alfred Shivy Brooks for Atlanta. Make sure that y'all go to his website right now. Check out his platform. I love the video on there. It explains everything. It gives you a great base of who you are, what you're about, and you can see the people behind you. When you announced to your inner circle what you wanted to do, what was that reception like for you?
I think it was on time. Like, you know, me working in the political realm or moving this way is not like something that just came out of left field. You know, when we were back home, I was working on Democratic campaigns in high school, knocking doors for candidates in Montclair. You know, when I moved here to Georgia, I ended up finishing my degree at Georgia State University, where I majored in public policy. So when I graduated my degree in public policy at the Andrew Young School at Georgia State, I worked at the state capitol with the Working Families Caucus. So I was working with Stacey Abrams and Nan Orrock and Virgil Flood and Vincent Ford and all those Democrats down there at the Gold Dome. So this was always a continuum of the work. And then, you know, over the last summer, with everything that was going on, the social justice movement, and me being on the front lines of community organizing and marching in the streets 280 plus straight days, being there the night that Rayshard Brooks was murdered here in Atlanta. You know, it was marching with my students who looked at me as we're marching through the streets, and they're seeing the poverty, they're seeing the blighted areas, they're seeing the underdevelopment and underinvestment. They're seeing the need for police reform. They're seeing all these things, and they know what I'm talking in the classroom, and they know what we're talking when we're in the street. And they're like, you know what? Instead of begging these politicians to fix things, Mr. Brooks, why don't you run? And it was my students that really motivated me and armed me with the courage and the conviction to put my proverbial hat in the ring and to run for office. So, you know, it was no secret. It was no surprise. If anything, I think they motivated me more than I really just wanted to jump out there for myself.
How does that make you feel when the people that you're directly affecting and teaching every day had that kind of angst on you, who you are as a person?
I feel responsible. Like, if anything, I feel a responsibility to do the right thing, to put in the work. I feel like, you know, for me, and people ask me all the time, like, you know, you win the election, are you just gonna quit? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay in the classroom as long as I can. I asked my students today, I said, how many of y'all actually know somebody who is elected, like a politician? And no one could raise their hand. And I'm the only person that they've ever known in their lives who has ever run for office. And so, you know, my feeling is it's not just about me acquiring the seat and earning the seat. It's about inspiring 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them to go run for office as they move into their adulthood and have an impact. You know, when the students say, you know, you live in Atlanta, Mr. Brooks, you run in Atlanta, what good is that going to do for us here? I said, the question is not what good is it going, am I going to be for y'all? The question is, what good are you going to be to your community? And so for them, you know, it's hard to be what you don't see. And so when you see it happening in front of you, you realize that it's tangible and you can do it too. If I can do it, they can do it. And then it gives me all the more resources, experiences to help them make it happen. And so I think it's, you know, it's bigger than me. And so I'm just grateful to have the support of my students. They help knock doors with me. They help campaign with me. They make phone calls, you know, and they do it because they believe in it. And for me, you know, it makes me feel honored and humbled.
That is, especially just telling your story. You started out doing these things in high school. Now you have high school students doing it. So it's no telling where they can take it, because your level is the journey you've had. You might have a student that runs for governor or senator or something like that too. And just because you gave them the inspiration and kind of the blueprint to do that. That's what's up, bro. I love it. I love it right now. Let's talk about CARES a little bit. You put this thing so simple, because a lot of times we see politicians and we go, all right, what do you stand on? And they give you, the run of the mill answers, or they don't answer it at all, you know, to give you a little twist and whatever. You're actually putting this thing down that I want this CARES situation to go. So let's talk about that a little for those who need to know who you are and what you stand for. Yeah, CARES is an acronym. It stands for Connected, Affordable, Responsive Economic Development and Sustainable and Safety, excuse me. And so for me, you know, being a teacher and going into the pandemic, I saw kids who couldn't access the internet. 1 in 4 kids and families in Atlanta don't have access to the internet. And the internet today is like, I don't know, you remember back in our time, if somebody had the encyclopedia set in their crib, they were the plug for information. And you gotta go there to get the project done. You already know. Right. You already know. And that is what the internet is today. So I want to create a 5G broadband high-speed internet service that is free
to low cost. And when I say low cost, I mean $20 a month will give you access to high-speed internet in your home. And there's a Black-owned firm that is currently doing that work that I would contact the city of Atlanta with to give access to families and people. No one should be without access to the internet. It is a human necessity in today's time. Atlanta, the A for affordable Atlanta is the least affordable city if you live on a minimum wage in America. We have the worst wealth disparity gap between blacks and whites in the country, and we are a predominantly black city. That is not okay. And so we have to do something about access to affordable living and ending mass homelessness in our city. And I'm hell bent on making sure that if I do anything, if I only serve one term, it will be ending mass homelessness in the city of Atlanta. And of course, look, our city got to be more responsive. We got terrible customer service, and we need a center being responsive to people day in and day out for their everyday needs, whether it's your water bill or a pothole or whatever. Like, these things should be catered to. We need more economic stability, sustainability, and development in our city. Look, 96% of Black-owned businesses don't even have a single employee other than the owner and operator. That's it. And the reason is we don't have access to capital to scale up. And of course, like, our city is dealing with safety issues as we are throughout the country. But I am a firm opponent towards the notion of being tough on crime, because I know what it does to the Black community. It's the reason why we have more Black bodies behind jail cells than we had during 400 years of slavery combined in today's time. Like, this is a huge problem. So we got to be smarter on crime and not just harder on crime. And what that looks like for me is guaranteeing a job for every high school. Correct. Is building out our parks and recs centers throughout the city, making sure that young people have a place to go and learn from Black entrepreneurs. It is helping young Black people become entrepreneurs themselves, not just coaching our kids to become good employees for other people, but to earn some financial liberation through their ability to tap into e-commerce or content creation, the modern day economic opportunities that exist. So these are some of the type of things that I want to focus on with my time on city council.
Some great things. You hit a few different things when you talked about connectivity. You talked about that Black-owned company. They were actually here. We interviewed them. So what you're talking about is not far off. You mean $20 a month, and now we have the same line and access to the resources that other people have just given to them. Yeah, we need that too. And I love what you're talking about when you say we don't need to be tough on crime. We need to be smart on crime. That's right, because the kids aren't out here doing most of the crime that they're doing because they want to. It's because they have a lack of resources or opportunities. So if I had money, or if I have a way to make money or a way to live my dreams, then I wouldn't be out here breaking someone else's. Facts. I mean, and a lot of times people try to racialize crime. Let's be real about it. They racialize crime. It is behind a lot of the movements that we see throughout the city where people are trying to distance themselves from the city. Like, we see it happening all over the place, and race has a huge factor to do with it. But I think what's going on, if we pay attention, those people who are constantly beating the drum about crime are never talking numbers. They're never talking statistics. They're never talking about the nuances of it and what is needed to solve it. Instead, they try to throw band-aids on it. They create economic opportunities for people to get contracts and develop and build and take over the city and privatize our police force. They do all these things other than addressing the real source of the issues, or even the source of solving the issues. You know, they had a whole big old ordeal with a 385-acre police training facility that's going to be built around the corner from my house, 1.5 miles away, which is going to tear down the last green space forest in Atlanta in a Black community, right? So instead of them talking about how do we actually solve crime, like the fact it takes 4 months to get ballistics or fingerprints back through GBI, and how Atlanta really needs a crime lab so that we could actually solve violent crime. We don't think smart about stuff. We just do what's real easy and what to codify people. And it's time for us to have folks in office that tell the truth and actually think thoroughly. How do we actually answer the problem in a sustainable way? That's right. Right now, we got Alfred, Shivy, Brooks. You guys tune into the radio app or online at reecradio.com. We appreciate you. If you're watching the live stream, you see this sharply dressed brother in front of me. He's talking about his platform and running for an open post in the city of Atlanta for city council. I need all you guys just to check him out. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you I absolutely 1,000% agree with a lot of the things he is saying. We do a thing called Clippers of Cops. We have police officers. Shout out to Todd Dennis, former ATF officer in Atlanta, gang officer in Atlanta, gang unit sergeant, basically ran the whole thing. He talks a lot about different things, right? And then people from the community say, well, why is this like this? Why is this like that? And he's like, you know what? We are police. That's a little above our pay grade. We need the politicians to actually step in and do things to change and make those type of informations to policy. You're talking about doing that right now.
100%. You know, I talked with Officer Dennis on my Teacher Talk Live show. And, you know, we agree on a lot. There's some things we don't necessarily agree on. But I do think that there are certain things that we need to be investing in with our public safety force to make Atlanta safer and better. And for me, like, look, I'm a proponent of investing in the education of officers, right? Like, there are certain things that a person with a high school diploma, a badge, and a gun are not equipped, prepared, or learned to do. Right. And so for me, I actually want to invest in at least making sure that every officer on Atlanta's police force has at least 2 years of college education within the next 5 years. And I'll be willing to help invest and pay with the city coffers to make that happen. And the reason why is this: there are studies that show that police officers that have at least 2 years of college education are 40% less likely to use force in the field, 45% less likely to use their firearm in the field, and are less likely to be victims of violence in the field. And so we need to better educate our police force. You know, people always talk about the size of the police force and hiring more cops. But my thing is, like, I'll get smarter cops. Correct. My dad used to always tell me, man, it's quality over quantity. And so we got to work on the quality of our force more than anything else.
Absolutely, man. You got some great things you're talking about. I need everybody to go to this website, check it out. Get some of that merch too. You got some fly hoodies on there. I'm about to get one today.
So yes, y'all please tap in brooks4atl.com, please.
Absolutely, right now, man, because we can't wait. That's the slogan. I love that. We can't, we shouldn't have to wait for somebody that has the best interest of the people to be representative of those people. So if you could say anything to people watching, why should they or why would they want to follow your movement and vote for you?
Yeah, listen, the reason why is we all saw over the last year the social justice movement. We saw that we marched for police reform. You saw that we marched for more investment in our communities. We saw that we wanted to push back against normalizing mass poverty in all of our communities. Atlanta is the cradle of the civil rights movement. It is the genesis of our modern day social justice movement. So everything we want, everything we march for is on the ballot. The status quo has not worked for us. I'm running against someone who has been in office for over 24 years. I mean, this person came into office in 1994 when I was a fourth grader. And today I have a son that's a high school sophomore. And the conditions of Atlanta have only gotten worse. The wealth gap between blacks and whites has gotten worse. The displacement of black people in the city has gotten worse. The last census showed that 50% of the people coming into the city are white. Like we are losing the character of Atlanta currently, and it's at the hands of people who look like us. So what I say to you all is, if you can look at your condition in Atlanta, if you believe that Atlanta is not going in the right direction, then you know it is time for a change. We have an emergency for change. It is time for police reform. It is time for investment in young people. It is time for a safer Atlanta that does not criminalize race or socioeconomic status. It's time for new blood and new vision. And so I ask you all to join me so that we can get real change, so that we can have people who are working for us, who are fighting for us, and who believe in us. So please join us, brooks4atl.com. Early voting starts next week, Tuesday, October 12th. I encourage you guys to get out there early, because we know what the GOP has been doing in Georgia, making it harder to vote, making it tougher to vote. And so I don't want you all to wait until November 2nd to get out there and vote. I want you guys to go out there next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, show up to the polls, go vote, and let's go get change and end the status quo of Atlanta doing too much for a very few and doing too little for the most of us.
Go ahead and drop that hype bell for that, man. That's a heck of a announcement right there. Make sure you follow my guy. Make sure you checking him out across all social media too. Tell him where to follow you at on IG, bro.
100%. So you guys, listen, I encourage you to follow my personal page, which is @CallMeShivy. Shivy, Shivy, at Call Me Shivy. We have a campaign page, which is at brooks4atl.com, same as our website. Stay connected with me. I'm also on Twitter at Call Me Shivy as well. This is all about returning our government back to the community. This is all about us being interconnected. So if you go to my website or my social media, I have a phone number. You can text me right now. It goes right to my phone, my team's phone. You can stay connected. You can DM me on Instagram. I am here to be a public servant, not just a politician. It's what I do as a teacher, and it's what I'm going to continue to do once elected.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and support this man and what he's doing. He's trying to change these lives. And shout out to you. I think if they give a Teacher of the Decade award, I know you're going to be at least a finalist. Top 3. Got to be.
100%, man. As long as, I want to make God proud. I want to make God proud, and I want to make the home team proud, that you all know that no matter where I am, no matter where I'm planted, we are doing the work to receive collective upward mobility for our community. It's time. We can't wait. We need this change.
Absolutely, man. Montclair to Atlanta making a huge difference, and we love to see it happen. All right, my brother, as we wrap this thing up, make sure that you guys are tapped into all our social media pages at Reec Radio and, of course, at Reec Swiney, ReeCSwiney. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. We got the homie Drummer Boy pulling up. He's going to be telling us all about what is life like being a multi-platinum producer. It's going to be crazy right here on Reec Radio. Till then, we got this mix coming up. DJ OS right here. Don't move.